Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Let's get this meeting started. Thank everyone for your patience, and I take full responsibility for that. Moving between places, even during virtual meetings. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Good afternoon. Mr. Brennan?
Present.
Mr. Rickaman?
Here.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Present.
Mr. Vine?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mayor Benjamin?
Present. Reverend McDowell, would you bless us with a word?
Yes, sir. Let's pray. God of justice, grace, and love, Lord, we ask for you to, of course, grant us wisdom and a true sense of direction for this, our city. The decisions made prayerfully, they will be made with a true sense of honesty and integrity. Protect and undergird us with trust and transparency so that we are able to, with truth, touch us individually and yet collectively allow this city of ours to feel your nearness. Lord, we ask it and claim it in your name. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you so much. Any amendments to the agenda before we adopt it, Teresa?
Yes, sir. And Mayor, I would ask that everyone mute their phones if they're not talking to help us out a little bit with sound. As far as the amendments go, I would ask council to add the employment of an employee for the first executive session that council will go into. And then Mayor Benjamin, we need to defer item 12 on the regular agenda and also add the COVID-19 category to executive session item 24.
Is there a motion?
Move adoption of the amendment.
All right. Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Moving probably second. With the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickaman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
You might be on mute, Ed.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to go into executive session for receipt of legal advice related to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to 30-4-70A2, COVID-19, curfew, house parties, public nuisance actions, face coverings, mask violations, swimming pool, public areas at housing complexes.
Is there a second? Second, I want to encourage everyone, we're going to be quite judicious in how we use our time. But obviously, this is the only proper and legal way in which we can dialogue extensively. I'm going to thank everyone for the incredible input we've gotten as we take on these challenges in these rare times. So we'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickaman? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Thank you.
Move we come out of executive session and return to public session.
All right.
Second.
For the previous question, clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Rickaman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. At this time, we will move into a period of City Council discussion and action. A COVID-19 update, starting with a situational report prepared by Mr. Harry Tinsley, our Emergency Management Director.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Harry?
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam City Manager, Mr. Mayor, members of council. There's a more detailed report that's in your inbox now, but just a brief situational update. U.S. cases are over 5.4 million, over 171,000 deaths currently in the U.S. The new numbers for our state just posted, we're at 106,574 confirmed cases. And sadly, we're at 2,230 confirmed deaths due to COVID-19. The new case accounts for this afternoon were 691. That's a 18.6 positive test rate. There were 47 new confirmed deaths reporting out occurring between June 24 and August 17. And here in Richland County, our case count stands at 9,229, and our death counts is at 174. As of last night, we had 63 additional cases. One note of encouragement is that Richland County continues on a downward trajectory, which that's a good thing. We'll continue to hopefully make that happen. Hospital bed capacity statewide is a little over 76%. The ICU bed utilization is running around 74%. There are currently, as of this afternoon, 1,116 COVID-19 patients hospitalized. In Richland County, our hospital bed utilization rate stands at 82.9. That's down slightly. And just an update on the testing here in the city limits at our location at 2221 Divine Street. That is running every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. through August 29th. And to date, there have been over 855 citizens that have been tested at that location. And that concludes my briefing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Harry and Teresa, to the whole city team that's been working closely with all of our partners on testing. We still believe strongly that testing is a key piece to finding our way out of this incredible challenge that we're facing. I did have the opportunity to receive some legal advice from our council on a number of different matters that will direct, our continued approach. And we recognize that we're, I'm not even convinced we're at halftime yet. We still got a lot more work to do to face down the pandemic. Our state's had an incredibly difficult time dealing with COVID-19. When cases began to rise in the spring, we put in orders that began to flatten the curve. Our residents, our citizens, and our senior citizens, all the way down to our children, and certainly including our students, everybody bought in. We worked together to reduce the spread of the coronavirus. And unfortunately, when the numbers started to improve, our restrictions were reduced statewide, despite not meeting CDC levels for reopening. And as a result, our cases have skyrocketed. As Director Tinsley just referenced, we've had over 106,000 South Carolinians diagnosed with the virus, and we've lost over 2,200 precious souls. Our true north throughout this entire challenge has not only been but also focus on the preservation of human life. And that's a value and a responsibility we've taken very seriously, and will continue to do so as a council. The city has led from the very beginning, putting in place a stay-at-home order back in March, passing a mask mandate in July, over a month and a half ago. Now we're seeing that mask ordinances in Columbia and other places all across the state, people have stepped up, and we've seen a reduction in the number of cases. According to DHEC's study, cities and counties that have mask ordinances have seen a 46.3% greater drop in COVID-19 cases than areas without them. And as these cases begin to decrease, we do believe that it's important that we cannot take our foot off the pedal. We're going to continue, as Director Tinsley mentioned, work to improve testing capacity. We're thankful to DHEC, to MUSC, to Prisma, to all those who partnered with us to assist with testing efforts. We're going to continue that. We recognize that we're in a very unique situation as students return back to campus. The greatest blessing, I might say, of being in Columbia is that we have the University of South Carolina, two fantastic historically Black colleges in Allen and University, Columbia College Fighting Koalas, CIU, amazing assortment of tens of thousands of young people coming from almost every one of the sovereign nations of the world back to Columbia, South Carolina, certainly from every state across the Union. And we recognize it places us in a very unique position to make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that everyone's doing their part to continue this deceleration of cases. Allows us all to return to some normalcy of life. We've seen some challenges in Georgia and North Carolina and Alabama. We've been reading about them. And we just want to make sure we're doing everything we possibly can to continue the decrease in cases we've seen. It's our job as lawmakers to continue to pass thoughtful public policy to prevent high-risk situations before they happen. We're working closely as policymakers, as well as our staff with USC and Benedict and other colleges here in the Midlands. And we're going to continue to seek the type of leadership that we think we all need to bring to the table. We recognize that there's some things we can do to slow down the spread of the virus. We need to make sure that we work closely with each other to continue to wear masks, recognizing that masks work. We're going to work to step up our public education campaigns and encourage folks everyone to understand what Mask Up Columbia SC means and how it's helped us do what we need to do, recognizing that we all have to make short-term sacrifices for long-term benefit of not just us, but for our young adults who are here attending college, for our kids who are trying to get back to school safely, for all the people of Columbia. And as we talk through some of the things that we hope to do, we hope that everyone understands our goal is not to be punitive, but we recognize that we face a unique challenge. And that as we face this challenge down, as we face down COVID-19, we're going to see equitable enforcement of our rules and the governor's executive orders all across the city. We want our students to enjoy the uniqueness of the college experience. But we're going to, again, make sure that everyone steps up and recognize that with this incredible opportunity comes great responsibility of being young adults. So we have a few different things I want to put before you in one action item. We recognize that we need to make sure that we continue to step up our public education campaign around masks. Masks work. The data shows it. It's proven. We're not debating it anymore. We want to make sure that everyone understands. Those who have not been here the last several weeks understand what our mask ordinance is. We work closely with our ambassadors who've been helping us push the message, including handing out masks. We're going to continue to step up Outputs Columbia and Mask Up Columbia SC. We're going to work closely with our universities and colleges, put in place a coordinated structure with the University of South Carolina and the other universities, asking for some consistency, and particularly as we've seen in other communities, and we've only had a few instances here in the Midlands so far, where students are hosting large house parties, large house gatherings in direct violation of the governor's executive order. We want to see large house gatherings and other high-risk events come to an end. And we're going to seriously and consistently enforce that all across the city. We have an action item specifically focused on that we'll make a motion on a little bit later. But we will have a coordinated structure with colleges and universities that could indeed, based on the college's decision, we're urgent, or require some consistency that the behavior that is required on campus is consistent with the same behavior of young adults that would be required off campus as it relates to any disciplinary action for violating the governor's executive orders. We are going to make a formal request of the governor to continue his executive order 2020-53 when it expires. This is, some people refer to it as the last call executive order. We're going to ask the governor to continue that until there's a clear and consistent deceleration of new cases in the metropolitan area. If he decides not to do so, we know that we reserve the authority as a council to reimpose a curfew under state law and city ordinance. We will not be imposing a curfew today. Lastly, before we get to the only ordinance before us, we're also going to be requesting of our student housing complexes and other apartment complexes to seriously consider shutting down their pools, their community pools, swimming pools. We've been very intentional, and based on some of the emails I get, maybe some people feel too strict on regulating the city-owned pools to slow down the spread of the coronavirus. We believe it's working for the benefit of the entire community. We're going to ask our student housing complexes to shut down the swimming pools until the city pools reopen, so we can all be on the same schedule, following the same type of public health data and recommendations. Lastly, we have an ordinance that will require 2 readings, but we will make its first reading today. It's going to underscore the importance of ending these house parties by amending our city code to make sure that not only the renters but landlords who should be holding their tenants accountable to not just themselves, the landlords, but also to the neighbors and to the larger community. We will be amending the city ordinance to recognize a failure to comply with the governor's executive order or any city code will be regarded as a serious offense under our rental property ordinance that could, in fact, with 2 offenses, lead to the revocation of a rental permit. At this time, I'll defer to Mr. Duval for a motion. You're on mute, Howard. Howard, you're on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's try that again. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2020-077, which is an amendment to the rental housing ordinance under the serious offense section to add the following language. A serious offense includes failure to comply with any emergency order issued by the City of Columbia, any executive order issued by the governor of the state of South Carolina, or any local, state, or federal law, regulation, or mandate to address a health or safety concern, including but not limited to a public health outbreak, including a pandemic or widespread and/or infectious disease outbreak, natural disasters, war, terrorist act, strike, fire, release of nuclear material or dangerous substance into the environment, or other catastrophic events.
All right. I'll second.
Can we do a motion to you add it to the agenda first and then adopt it?
Please. Oh, the motion we'll use it as a motion to add that exact language to the.
I move we add it to the agenda item.
I'll second. All right, is, any discussion? We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call roll and amend it to the agenda.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
You're on mute, Ed.
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
You're on mute, Sam. We can read your lip. We can read your lips, especially since you have your mustache now.
Mayor,
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin. Thank you.
The now, Howard, you want to make your motion? And we're going to say,
I'd like to repeat the motion I just made to adopt ordinance number 2020-077 with the paragraph that I previously read, amending the rental housing ordinance.
So moved,
second.
Mr. Chair.
we're going to discussion period. Now, I want to say this again. Our goal here is, I want to restate, it's not meant to be punitive. It's meant to recognize the fact that we've come really too far after seeing some incredibly dark days as a poster child for some folks across the world, literally, on the rate of transmission and the number of cases we saw in South Carolina. We've come too far to stop. We've led every step of the way as a community. And we do this, all these actions in the interest of again, our One True North preservation of human life. A point I think Mr. Rickman want to speak to one point, I know he won't mind me saying, that he raised. We recognize that everybody's going through a lot right now, still. And that's not relegated to older folks like us, our young people, our kids, our high school students, our middle schools and high schoolers. Daniel referenced the fact that even our college freshmen now are stepping into a situation where they came out of their senior year being interrupted. So many of us have fine and incredible memories of our senior year. They won't be able to enjoy ever. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure we're very thoughtful about what we're doing. But we're trying to keep our eyes on the long-term goal of returning back to normalcy. If in fact what's happened in other communities, other college communities, happens here, the long-term economic, cultural, education, and social impact can be devastating. And if we can do anything to avoid that, I believe that we need to do it. So that's we're taking the proper step in that direction. Mr. Rickman.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to it that this isn't just what we've done is here has to do with renting, and this isn't just on students. And I want to make that clear that this goes to an equitable enforcement across the city for multiple well, everybody Mason, it gives us the tools to help bring everybody together. And the idea and the discussions that we've had today through everything from curfew to swimming pools has to do with us trying to get as close as we can back to normalcy, which means if we're all working together, taking our masks, social distancing, and still living, going out and eating, but doing the right thing, and we can get through this as we move into the fall, we can slowly get back to normal. Just they're in Columbia now. You know, your freshmen who are here throughout the 4 or 5 colleges that we have in our community. You're part of our community, and we want you to be here, and we need to work together. And this, we want our businesses to thrive, and we want to be about as normal as we can, but we still have to be safe and careful. And we ask you to abide by the laws that are put out there for not only for your safety, but for other safeties, so that we can look forward to events in the future and get back to the fun things that are all part of this experience that you can have here in Columbia. And so we just want to make sure that you understand the message here, that it is about working together, and that this isn't and target effort. This is an overall enhancing things that were already on the books to allow us to continue to work together.
Sure. The in the comments now, I want to clarify something. Just got a text asking about the intent of the ordinance. So under our city ordinances, properties that are allowed to rent out their landowner property owners that are allowed to rent out their properties to prospective renters obviously have to comply with a significant number of rules violations of those rules culminate in a point system, and that point system then can lead to revocation of the ability to rent that property. So this is following the data and the news reports. It appears that the vast majority of the challenges that colleges are facing as students return back for the fall are usually because of events that happen off campus, not necessarily on campus. So we're trying to do as much as we can, working together with the university, with the students, with the neighborhoods, and with landlords to require an end to these house parties that have led to a proliferation of cases. So what this ordinance does is it accelerates the process significantly by deeming one of these large house parties a serious offense under our ordinances, which would immediately serve as a 10-point penalty under the ordinance. Once you accumulate 15 points, it can lead to revocation of your permit to rent that property. So it also comes with a fairly substantial fine when someone wants to reapply to potentially rent that property. I believe 10 points is a $1,000 fine, which we would anticipate a landlord pass directly on to the tenant. So this is again using the enforcement mechanisms at our disposal to underscore exactly how important it is that we see these house parties come to an end, because in fact we recognize that they are a source of the greatest challenges we face right now. We'll be working closely. Our code enforcement staff and fire marshals and CPD and others, of course, with our bars and restaurants to, of course, make sure the governor's executive order also adhered to. We just need everyone to do their fair share. If we all do our fair share, we'll get out of this a whole lot of other communities and back to some sense of normalcy. But that is the practical effect of the code section. And again, that amends code section 5-330 D1D of the municipal code. Mr. McDowell.
Yes, I moved the previous question, sir.
All right, quick call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. And just in the interest of public education, I know that our city's PR department is going to send out more information, laying out what this went through, but also for folks who are just getting back, letting them know how we report mass violations, letting folks know how to report some violations of these gatherings in the neighborhoods. And again, we just want everybody to step up, mask up, and let's figure out how we can face down COVID-19 together. Thank you. All right, what we got now?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. At this time, we will ask for City Council to consider approval of the consent agenda items 3 through 11 and 13 through 15.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, move the previous question. Call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Resolutions, item 16, resolution number R 2020-022, authorizing the city manager to execute a lease agreement between the City of Columbia and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for the use of the Columbia Water GenStar elevated water storage tank site.
All right.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion with the previous question. Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickaman,
Aye.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Item 17, resolution number R 2020-079, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Columbia and Norfolk Southern Railway Company for modifications to grade crossing warning devices, the USC Quiet Zone project. And Mayor Benjamin, we want to say thank you. This has been a wonderful project that Quiet Zone Committee initiated at the council. Appointed a while ago, and many partners as well as our city staff working on this.
Amen. I mean, this is one of those things that requires a Herculean effort, and our staff has really been just on point and making stuff happen. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Senator Harpootlian too, just being stalwart and pushing, and Howard and Will and you guys. I mean, just everybody, so people are happy. And this, if you all remember, if we execute this properly, I think it cuts through the 3 of the 4 districts actually. So so we can get some stuff done. So if there's no discussion, Will or Howard, when y'all want to make a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right. With the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickaman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Item 18, resolution number R 2020-083, declaring Juneteenth a city holiday.
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry.
This is great. Is there any discussion? This is a watershed moment. Thank you all for everyone recognizing the importance of us moving forward together. We felt directly in the pandemic, so we have not yet had a chance really to really celebrate the adoption of the new city flag, which speaks really very directly to the heart of inclusion and inclusive growth as a community. And I think this is a natural next step into recognizing the end of one of the darkest periods in human history. So thank you all. Ms. Devine?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say, didn't want to go without recognizing, for many years we've had, citizens out in the community, Jamal Bradley and some others who have been having Juneteenth celebrations. And I'm hoping that now that we have this, we can certainly, like we do Martin Luther King Day, our city has always been a leader. We were the first city to make Martin Luther King Day a holiday in the state of South Carolina. I hope that other states will follow our lead on this as well. But I certainly hope that we can use this day as a day to celebrate our culture and the contributions that African Americans have had, not just to Columbia, but to our state and our nation, and really utilize this as an opportunity to not just bring our community together, but also to educate us, because a lot of people don't really know our history.
Amen. Mr. Davis?
I concur with Mr. Devine's comments, and I think like a number of people throughout the community, I think she was also one of the forefronts of bringing this and suggesting to us. And I agree, you'd be surprised until I started the, I guess, an annual event, not started it, but I was always invited at my church to be the Juneteenth speaker.
Mhm.
And it's very historical, and it's an educational process also for especially young people. And and also, I think she's correct that all over this country there are cities celebrating Juneteenth, and some are still now coming on board. But I think to read the history, understand it, and then participate, and it puts you in a celebratory and also an appreciative mood that you give homage to those folks who really, I think, were really responsible for it, because it's one of those examples of a lack of information and how information is controlled. So I applaud the city for taking this step.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. We'll move to the previous question. Clerk call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 19, resolution number R 2020-085, expressing intent of the City Council of the City of Columbia, South Carolina to participate in the Recover SC Local Government Liquidity Program, authorizing the city manager and assistant city manager for finance and economic services, or either of them acting alone, to take certain actions and negotiate certain agreements and other matters relating thereto.
Is there a motion?
I move approval.
The second. Second. Move to
Okay,
previous
I'm sorry.
roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Thank you.
Oh,
Good.
sorry, Mayor. Moving into a period of appointments, yes, sir, for your municipal court judges.
All right. I move, and Tamika, unless you plan to do it, I'll go ahead.
I can. I would move the appointment of Jessica Mangrum as Chief Administrative Judge effective August 18th, 2020. Also would move the appointment of Brian Jeffries as a regular full-time judge for a 4-year term beginning today, August 18th, 2020, and David Collier as a substitute judge for a 4-year term beginning on October 1st, 2020. I also would move the reappointment of Susan Porter, Carlton Bagby as regular full-time judges for 2-year terms beginning today, and Krista Rockert and Richard Morgan as substitute judges with 2-year terms effective today.
Second that motion. Any discussion? We'll move to the previous question. Clerk call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Congratulations to Chief Judge Mangum and all of the judges. Mr. Mayor, I wanted to also note, speaking of our court, that we hadn't had the opportunity, we're not doing presentations like we normally do, but the Municipal Association awarded in the public safety category, awarded the City of Columbia an award of achievement for our homeless court. And so I thought that was worth acknowledging as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
Other matters, Item 21, the CARES Act Substantial Amendment 2020 through 2024 Consolidated Plan and 2020 Annual Action Plan. Ms. Gloria Said, our Director of Community Development, will give a few comments. I think we've already conducted a public hearing on August 12th, 2020 at 6:00 p.m. and the public input period continues through Tuesday, August 18th. Today at 11:59 p.m. So if there are any others who would have any public input, our staff has a process for receiving on that. Certainly people can add anything during our public input period today as well. Gloria?
Yes, ma'am. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. Madam City Manager, Mayor Benjamin, and members of City Council. Just as a little update, you know, back in March of this year, the President signed into law the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. That, again, he signed on March 27th. And on April 21st, we did give an overview about the funding and the steps that we were going to need to take in order to submit a substantial amendment to our regular con plan and annual action plan. So we're ready to get that update to you today. All right, so as City Manager Wilson already mentioned, we did hold a public hearing on last Wednesday. That was a virtual public hearing. That is one of the items that was required in order for us to start the substantial amendment process. Also on last Tuesday, just for your information, once the CARES Act was signed into law, we did know that we were awaiting a federal register and explain to us how the funds could be used and what those regulations are in regards to the funds. And that was released on last Tuesday as well. Staff is still in the process of reviewing that information so that we can make sure that we're including everything that needs to be included in the substantial amendment that may not already be there. So the overall CARES Act, as you know, it was a total of $5 billion for the Community Development Block Program. And the first round consisted of $2 billion in CDBG-CD funding. And based on the formula that HUD uses on an annual basis, the amount that was awarded to the city in CDBG-CD dollars was $611,921.
Gloria, I didn't mean to I hate to interrupt you. Were you meaning to screen share?
Oh, I'm sorry. It must have disappeared. Hold on. I do apologize.
And while you're preparing that, I think that we need better audio from you, Gloria. I don't know if you're speaking into your speakerphone, but if you could get a better audio connection, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Reverend McDowell, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, I was just I was going to inquire about a screen presentation. Right,
Yes.
there it is.
Can you see it now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, so when I went to, hold on, can you see it now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. I think I ended the show before. Wait a minute. No. And so I apologize. I need to go back. Hold on. It
Right.
seems like when I go to the full screen, I get discombobulated. All right, here's where we were. All right, can you all still see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Why don't I just leave it there since I don't want to get mixed up again. All right. So as I was stating before, we have the city was awarded $611,921 in CDBG CV funding. The city is also a recipient of HOPWA dollars, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, and the city was awarded $220,838 in HOPWA funds. So as you all know, the use of the coronavirus funds must be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus. So based on those items, what we put together, as I mentioned, the Federal Register was finally released. We are still in the process of reviewing that. It did put some provisions in place where it would extend the deadline for submission of our fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 20 con plan and action plan. However, we do not intend to expect to have to use that extension that they give us up to August 16th, 2021. In addition to that, it suspends the 15% cap on public services, and it includes for the fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 20 any CARES Act funds. So that's what we put together in the subrecipient action plan amendment, and then we're going to go over some things a little later to show you what proposals we're making in terms of use of funding. Another change that HUD has made in regards to the CARES Act is that instead of a 30-day public comment period, they've reduced it to 5 days. We are currently in that comment period, and it will expire, as mentioned earlier tonight, at 11:59 p.m. So we'll continue to take comments until that time. Again, we held a virtual public hearing, and in addition to the changes in the act, it excludes CDBG CV funds from the inclusion and determining compliance with requirements of 24 CFR 570, which is related to timely expenditures. So basically what this is saying that, HUD will not hold us responsible in the event that we don't meet timeliness in this coming year. However, it is our goal to do just that, even though they're giving us a waiver on that.
Gloria.
Yes, sir.
Does that help in perhaps, in any given point in time, there has been a deobligation of funds? Does that help not having that kind of circumstance to take place?
In terms of the timeliness, is that what you're asking?
Yes,
oh,
ma'am.
Absolutely. So basically, with the additional funding and having to get everything in place, HUD is saying they're not going to hold us responsible if we don't meet timeliness.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. So also, as you all were reported on earlier in the year, we did do a new con plan, and those 5-year priority needs are listed here, and the ones that we are adjusting for COVID fall under public services, housing and supportive services, and also economic opportunities. So the CARES Act amendments for CDBG CV include the following. They will provide vital services for LMI households. The city will provide assistance to low to moderate income households negatively affected by COVID-19. And what we're proposing are the following: to provide financial assistance with helping people with their rental and mortgage payments, for up to 3 months, assisting citizens with utility assistance for their bills, and also for broadband access to Wi-Fi. We're also proposing that the CDBG-CV funding is used to support new and expanding businesses. So the city will provide financial support for small businesses to help create and retain jobs. And if I could just add here, we will look for guidance from City Council in terms of the business aspect of this, and whether or not they would want us to put that out to public to call for applications, or if we would allow the Office of Business Opportunity to utilize those funds to assist the businesses that they know have needs. They've done an excellent job so far with assisting businesses, and we feel like this would be a easy way and a quick way to get the funds out on the street if we would use our OBO office to manage that, those funds that we're going to recommend for that. So proposed projects, activities, the budgets for those particular projects. So what we've done is we've taken the total amount of the $611,921, and of course 20% of that is going to be used for administration of the grant. And for the public services, as we mentioned earlier, for rental and mortgage assistance, utility assistance, and broadband access for LMI households, that total that we're recommending comes to $326,358. And then we're recommending a total of $163,179 for the economic development activity. Now, what we did out of the $611,621, after we deducted the $122,384, we took the remaining balance and just divided it by 3. And so we felt like we would just evenly distribute them to be used in those particular areas.
Gloria, now the $163,000, 171, the assistance for small businesses. How not in a very hard way, but how do we use that? How does those small businesses use that?
Well, you know, as we stated earlier, you know, the funding has to be used to prevent, prepare for, or respond to coronavirus. So it could be that they use some of those funds to perhaps purchase items that their business may need, you know, like for masks for their businesses, so people will feel comfortable to come in and utilize their services or patronize their businesses. And you know, also it could be that they may want to offset some of it, you know, for salaries. It's not a whole lot of money, but you know, again, as long as we can determine that the funds that they're going to use can be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus, then we certainly want to see how they can, you know, do what we can to make sure they can get access to those dollars.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So for the CARES Act amendments in regards to HOPWA CD, those funds can be used to continue assist and provide financial support for permanent housing placements for those people with HIV/AIDS, and also provide medical and support services. And the city will again provide financial support for medical and support services for those people as well. It can also assist with providing short-term rent for mortgage and utilities, street outreach activities, and also homeless prevention. The budget that we use for this, as you all know, we've already awarded contracts to our sponsors for the HOPWA dollars. And based on the percentage that they were awarded in our current action plan, we basically took that balance of 220,838 and distributed by the same amount that they're currently receiving. 3% of the funds will also go to toward paying admin for staff. But we felt like that was an easy way to distribute the funds to those sponsors who are currently receiving dollars so that they can continue to assist those who may need it that have been impacted by coronavirus. All right, so in addition to the proposals that we're making for funding, the city, we did put out a survey back in June that was out from June 1st to June 5th. We received 405 responses. We were really pleased with the fact that we did get that amount. And here we're just sort of summarizing some of the responses that we received. Here we're showing you that the respondents to the surveys, 57% of them were residents, 11% were business owners, 10% were employees, and 18% were nonprofits. In terms of family sizes, 20% came from a one-person household, 30% of the responses came from a two-person household, 13% from a three-person household, 18% from a four-person household, and 12% from a five-person household. We break down race and ethnicity for those who responded, 49% were white Caucasian, 41% were Black or African American, and 4% were Hispanic or Latino. We believe we received a pretty good representation for the length of time that the survey was out for feedback. Lastly, in terms of household income ranges, 17% were under 30,000, 20% was between 30,000 and 50,000. 19% was between 50,000 and 75, and then 13% was from 75 to 99,000, and 31% of the people who responded earned over $100,000 per year. So in terms of the substantial amendment timeline, as stated before, we're still in the public comment period. It does end tonight at 11:59. The public hearing was held on August 12th. Today, representing the substantial amendment and our proposal in terms of the funding, our plans are to submit it to HUD by August 21st. HUD can take up to 45 days to review the substantial amendment. So that basically means that they have up until September 6th to let us know if they've approved our proposals. So at this time, I'll ask if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? All right, so we've had a public hearing already. The public input period ends tonight, so there's no opportunity, no citizens calling in regards to this right now, right? So we're good, right?
Not right now, unless at the end, if there's a comment that a citizen wants to make, I'll stay on the line just in case.
But this is require action from us right now?
The action that's required right now is just approval to submit it to HUD.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, discussion. I'll move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye, and Gloria, thank you and your team for even with the obviously challenging situation was we're working with. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Item 22, council is asked to approve contract amendment number 4, for the water and sewer line repair warranty program marketing agreement as requested by Columbia Water. Award to HomeServe USA Corporation at no cost. This request is to change the contract term to an additional 2-year term beginning October 31st, 2020, with the option to extend the term for an additional 3 years.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
The second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
Um,
Waiting for your hand, Mr. Duval. You slow, man. I didn't know what to do. Let your hand hide behind Sam.
Sound is slow here.
I thought your hand was hiding behind Sam's mustache somewhere.
Oh, no, that's him then.
Go ahead.
I won't belabor the point. Most of the council knows my opposition to this program, and Councilman Brennan does not. So I will take him to lunch and indoctrinate him so he can carry on the tradition as this program goes on. But I will vote no on this scam.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, you're in for a treat, Will. All right, make it apart. All right. I'll move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
We hear you, Howard.
No.
thank you, sir. Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
I'm sorry, was the vote over?
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, now that we've done that, we had held renaming our program after Ms. Christie. So I would like to ask that we add that to our next meeting agenda so that we can officially do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Motion.
Item 23. Council is asked to approve the installation of 4 speed humps on High Street and 2 speed humps on Liberty Street as requested by the Public Works Department.
Now motion.
Move approval.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin, I'm not sure if there are any council committee reports or referrals. I know there was a very productive Economic and Community Development Committee chaired by Mr. Davis. I don't know if he has any comments regarding that committee. We do have another one coming up with some items previously referred by Mr. Brennan. But if there are any discussion surrounding those committees that have met and or referrals.
All right. Any committee reports or referrals?
Go ahead. Commissioner.
Ms. Vine?
I just wanted to say briefly that the Affordable Housing Task Force met, and we got 2 great presentations, one from the folks at the National League of Cities on the Homeward Bound study that they did last year. And then we also got one from our newest board or task force member, which we have to do his appointment, Dr. Brian Grady at South Carolina Housing. And the numbers were really, it's instructive as to where we need to go. So if you guys don't have the materials from both those presentations, I'll make sure Erica sends it. But I think it would be great information for you guys just to review both of those presentations. It was great information.
Davis?
I agree. I've sat in on that committee. Just to go back, nothing lengthy, but I think the meeting last week of the Economic Development Committee was a follow-up to previous discussions, and we did receive information and explanations from the various staffs as it relates to contracting and our commitment and efforts to provide opportunities and maybe expand participation of minorities in the contracting for services and projects under the city's jurisdiction. And we expect some follow-ups, periodic follow-ups as a result of the initial meeting. Tamika or Daniel, any input you want to make?
It's an absolute great meeting, and it also has, opened up a lot of options, I think, for us to look. I know staff has been working, but not only looking at long-term relationships, but really building and taking advantage of some of our needs. And I want to commend the staff for all the information they gave us. And thank you, Sam, for heading up the committee. I look forward to the next meeting where we can dive deeper and look at some other options, including some of the landscaping needs we need around the city as well. So I look forward to that. Thank you, Sam.
All right. Good deal. Any other reports or referrals, Mr. McDowell? I apologize.
Ms. Wilson, let me just ask one question. Now, we did complete the consent calendar 3 through 15.
Yes, sir. Omitting number 12.
Okay.
That one was deferred. I deferred it.
All right.
All right. All right. We are public input, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. At this time, we have 2 callers, well, more than 2 callers on the line, but potentially 2 callers that would like to speak. If you would like to speak before City Council, you have 3 minutes. You would need to press *3 to enter the speaker queue. So while those callers are contemplating that, Mayor, we have one comment that we received in the meeting portal from Mr. Jamal Bradley. He stated that Juneteenth is a time for reflection and rejoicing. It's a time for community assessment, self-improvement, and planning for the future. For the past 5 years, my team has been raising awareness and hosting a celebration. It is our hope that this will lead to a great and wonderful partnership.
That's great.
And we have 2 voicemails that have been left. The first one that I'll play into your hearing is from Mr. Scott Linenberry.
Try the second one first, Erica.
Yes, sir. The second one is from Mr. Vincent Joseph. Okay, please bear with us. Corey's working this.
We can come back to the recorded call. This is a little easier. Is anyone on the line?
Okay. All right, no, sir. No one on the line has joined the speaker queue at this time.
Is there an opportunity as we work out the technical issues for you to forward those 2 audio calls to us and also put them formally on the record?
Absolutely.
Let's do that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Is there no more input? Is there a motion?
You ready for executive session?
I am.
Work. As
Goodbye.
security. With this request, I am curious if there are.
This is Scott Linneberry, owner of about 14 duplex. This is Scott Linneberry, owner of about 14 duplexes, primarily college rentals, brand new, some in Rosewood and some in the Wales Garden area of Columbia. This is regarding the ordinance about masks and gatherings at these types of houses at rental properties, and trying to ding landlords for the actions of their tenants once again, as if there's not enough of that. But the one thing that really concerns me about this particular ordinance is that it's only directed at these types of houses, at rental houses or properties that the tenants don't own. Not only is it going to affect college kids, but it'll affect any house that the tenants do not own. Basically, because it's the only way you can enforce anything is to ding a landlord whom you've already expected to act like a parent to their tenants. The selective enforcement of this ordinance, where as my primary residence, I can have as big a party as I want at my house, no masks, no nothing, and there's no problem there. But as far as a rental house goes, then all of a sudden there's a problem. And not only is it a problem, but then I have the problem because of the actions of my tenants. The selective, enforcement, the selective targeting of these properties is what really bothers me. If you want to make a difference, then it has to be every residence, private, rental, anything. The selective means of doing this, I don't believe is legal. And there will be an argument there and most potentially a fight in that regard. It has got to be across the board, especially to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I have neighbors that own their homes that have been having parties all summer long. And, you're saying there's nothing you can do about that. However, you are saying if a tenant does it, then all of a sudden you can do something about it. Make up your mind. If the ordinance is for the good and well-being and safety and health of the public, then make it universal. Do not be selective. That's all. That's my comment. Have a good day. I hope you make the right decision.
We did.
Okay, thank you all for your patience with kind of technology. Kind of had a mind of its own for a moment.
But a couple of very important points that Scott raised, and I haven't seen Scott forever. Let's make it a point to make sure that we really work on the public education piece of this, making sure folks understand that this applies. That obviously the enforcement of the governor's executive order applies to all citizens, right, not just to renters. And secondly, it doesn't focus on masking. It focuses on the illegal gathering and violation of the order. So we're going to be expecting accountability from everyone. But that's a job we have to do. Obviously, between now and also we need to consider what we're in the next probably 7 days. We have to wait at least 7 days for a second reading of the ordinance. We may have to have a special meeting just to take up a second reading of the ordinance. But
Mr. Mayor,
it's our job to work on the public education piece of that and completely understand and actually agree consistently with Scott's concerns he raised. Yes, sir, Will.
Mr. Mayor, if we could provide through Resilient Columbia website something that property owners could provide to their tenants that describes the responsibilities. I think that'd be wonderful, and I think it'd be easy to upload and send people to Resilient Columbia.
Be very helpful. I agree. Right. And this is quick, so people will of course have real questions, and I appreciate the civil and clear way in which Scott raises his. All right. Is that second call in the queue, Erica?
Yes, sir.
Please. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Vincent Joseph McCarron IV. I am the president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association here in Columbia, South Carolina. I am calling on behalf of the City Center Partnership and trying to understand the process in which the CARES Act funding that was determined to be discussed today could be appropriately allocated to meet the delta that will occur in the financial budget for the City Center Partnership for the next year. They have provided us, especially in today's day and age, with a very unique opportunity to engage citizens and voting residents of the Downtown Neighborhood Association with a de-escalated, safe manner that does provide us with the benefits that we are looking for as to the neighborhood security. With this request, I am curious if there are any future methods that we could engage to ensure that the correct level of funding is allocated and any opportunities to use this CARES Act for the greatest good is evaluated, especially for these very purposes. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much.
We're certainly, if viewers are still watching, obviously make sure that Gloria input as part of the public input. But also, I anticipate we're going to have to get very aggressive in making sure that we bring up all the HTACs and other appropriations that we're considering up at our very next meeting. We got it on the September 1st agenda to address the concerns that he raised, separate and apart from the CDBG or CARES Act issues that were raised. But thank him and make sure Ms. Saeed gets that as part of the public input. Mr. Duval?
Mr. Mayor, I move we go into executive session for receipt of legal advice related to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to 30-4-70A2, street painting, Columbia Water Collections, receipt of legal advice related to a pending, threatened, or potential claim pursuant to 30-4-70A2, Monica Bilgen versus COC, Philip Allen Brown Jr. versus COC, discussions of the employment of an employee pursuant to 30-4-70A1, payroll cycles, discussions of negotiations, incidents, proposed contractual arrangements pursuant to 30-4-70A2, Capital City Stadium.
All right.
And we did add the COVID-19 item as well at the beginning of the meeting when the agenda was adopted, Mayor.
Okay, super. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Move the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Rickerman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Mr. Vine, Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.